Hi guys, I don't really know where to start with this video, but the title is true. I've been lying, and I don't know, there's a lot of stuff I've been hiding and a lot of things I've been keeping from you guys, just for the sake of my pride to make others happy. I've been praying for a while now. I've been wanting to make a video like this, talking about the things I've been going through and the truth for a while now, but it puts other people at risk because it involves other people, and I don't like mentioning other people in my videos because, you know, that is stuff that goes on in other people's lives. So when something goes on with me and it has to do with other people, I do my best to be very careful with how I word things and try to keep them out of the video as much as possible, while also talking about myself. Back in the day on YouTube, I didn't care what people thought. I was really honest. I was really blunt about my feelings, about my life, about things I was going through. And I would say anything and everything on the internet, which, you know, came back to bite me in the butt and, you know, made people upset because I would mention things that people did to hurt me. And so over the past years, I've tried really hard to keep people out of my channel unless it's extremely necessary to talk about my point and my feelings. And I'm still going to do that today, but I've been trying so hard to keep everybody happy and do what everybody wants me to do on my YouTube. And I'm not talking about you guys, I'm talking about the people in my personal life. I've been trying to keep information and do all this stuff, and it's starting to haunt me. And I've been praying and praying and praying, and I've been talking to people all over the world about this. I've been calling adoption agencies about this. I've been finding out my legal rights about this, because the truth is I've been lying for a while and I just can't do it anymore. I've been lying to myself, I've been lying to my friends, I've been lying to my internet. I can't pretend like everything's fine and everything's normal, because it hasn't been for a while now. And I guess I'll kind of explain what I mean. My New Year's resolution is to trust my gut, to trust God, and do what I know is right. And I can't pretend and lie anymore. This year started out amazing. This year started out beautiful. I met my son, I had a natural birth, and I was the happiest I've been probably since I was a child. And everything was going good for a while. I was happy, I got married, I had my baby, and everything was right. Like, my relationships with everyone seemed to be going good. I was truly happy. Before I gave birth, I was going to therapy for my PTSD. PTSD doesn't just go away, but I really thought the hard part of that was over, and maybe I'm silly for thinking that, but I really thought things were going to be good for a while. A few months ago, I decided to go public with my story about the guy who got me pregnant and what he did to me. I almost didn't make that video. And the reason why I almost didn't make that video is because I knew the son I put up for adoption when I was 15 would see that video someday. And I knew it would be hard for him. It's not easy to hear that or see that or, you know anything about that. That's not something easy. It's not something easy to do. And I didn't want to ever, I didn't want to make him feel bad about himself or put him through a hard time. So I almost didn't make the video. So I talked to people and I talked to people and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed, and I decided to make it anyways. And yeah, one day my son may watch that. One day he'll find out what his father, what his biological father did to me, and it won't be easy for him. And I'm so sorry, to my baby, that one day you'll have to deal with that. But I've learned that even though that's hard for him, he's gonna find out eventually, and it can be a learning lesson for him. And I know that sounds really crazy, but if he's raised the right way, he's raised to know that just because he was a product of, what happened with us, doesn't mean he's a mistake. Doesn't mean, anything about his life. He's what, he makes of himself. What happened between his biological mother, me, and his biological father doesn't define him. And it will be hard, but I'm not going to lie to myself and not speak up about, my assault just because I fear his pain that I'll have to deal with later. I don't know if that makes sense. It's really hard to explain. And I'm sorry, Nova. Nova is your name that I named you in my stomach. Your parents don't want me saying your real name on here, so even though Nova is not your real name, I feel silly saying my adopted son. You are my biological son, and that's what I will refer to you. Just think of it as a nickname. I'm sorry you'll have to deal with that in your life, but I hope you know the reason why I went forward with that. The reason why I wanted the world and you and everybody to know the truth was because hiding and not going forward with something bad that happened to you for the sake of protecting someone else is dangerous. And I want to protect you. But I couldn't not speak out over years. And I hope you learn from my mistakes, and I hope you learn from your biological father's mistakes. And I know that if you're anything like me, you'll get through it, and it'll make you a stronger person, and it'll teach you more about yourself and how to respect women and treat women. And once again, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. Another reason I share my story about my assault was because it helps other people. There's so many women in the world who are assaulted and never speak up. And I'm so glad I did, because the video did amazing and I saved lots of people's lives. I had millions of people message me saying that, you know, this helped them feel like they're not alone and stuff. And so even though, you know, it was a hard thing to do and it, you know, is traumatic for some people to hear that story, it did more good than harm. After making that, I felt so relieved. You know, I was getting so many messages of people saying I'm so brave, that more women need to speak up, more women need to speak about what they, you know, went through with situations like that. I have to be very careful about how I word things, but Nova's parents didn't like that video. And I mean, I get it. They know one day their son's gonna find that out. They know one day their son could watch that, and they want to protect him and keep him innocent as long as possible. They were mad. They thought it was disgusting that I speak up about my story. They thought that by me sharing my assault, I wasn't thinking of Nova, that I was selfish to speak up, that by talking about Nova, that by talking about my feelings in those stories makes me selfish, and it's disgusting, and that I'm not thinking about him, and a lot more stuff. And it broke my heart, because I spent so long thinking about whether I should make that video, and because I was thinking of him. And honestly, I want him to know the truth. I want him one day to know that happened to me, because I don't want to lie to him. You know, they said that by me making that video, I'd be making him out to be a mistake, and that's not true. No babies are ever a mistake. It's how you teach them. There's gonna be hard things in their life, but the point is, this isn't me to bash them or put them on blast. I get why they say that. I get why they think that. I see it from their perspective. Trust me, I do. You know, they want to protect him, but it shattered my heart. When I decided to have an adoption, it wasn't until very last minute, 3 weeks before meeting the family, that I would give Nova to. The reason why I waited so long was because I didn't have my parents' approval or my family's approval up until that point. I was 15, I was naive, I didn't know how adoption worked. They came to me and they said it'll be extremely open, you know. They knew I did YouTube, they knew I talked about him, they knew I did this stuff. And, you know, at 15 I figured, you know, they're saying it's open, it's gonna be open, you know, we can work together and stuff like that. And I didn't have any time to look for other families. They were a Christian family, they promised me, you know, they could do all these things. So I accepted. And I remember I was holding him, and my mom comes in and she says, you know, if you don't want to go through with it, you don't have to. And I almost didn't. I almost decided to keep him. But then I thought of the family in the other room. The mom and the dad I promised to make parents. The ones that have been waiting for their son to be adopted. I thought about the fact that they couldn't have kids. And I didn't want to break their hearts and say I wanted him after all. And I knew that at the time I thought I was doing what was best. And maybe I still was, I don't know. And I said, no, I need to go through with my decision. I wanted to name you Nova, and they didn't. You know, they said they didn't like Nova, they'd change your name if I decided to name you Nova. And that's fine, that's, at that point it's not my legal right, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't break my heart. And it started out great. You know, I visited him, I posted pictures of us, I talked about him, I got to still share my story, and over time that started to be taken away. First it was, I don't want you sharing pictures of him anywhere. And I understood. I have a big following. I get it. It's scary, it's dangerous, especially for people who don't understand the internet. People were making fan pages using his face, and that scared him. I get it. Or that scared them. Hold on, Leo's awake. I did everything I could to make them happy because I wanted them to like me. I wanted them to talk about me in a positive way to Nova. I deleted everybody I had not met in person off my Facebook. The reasoning for me not talking about him or sharing pictures of them or anything was because I had a lot of people follow me that they don't know. So I deleted anybody I don't know off my Facebook. I privated it, made my settings super private, and they still didn't approve that for me. And it was confusing because everybody else in my family, my mom, my grandma, aunts, uncles, they were all allowed to post pictures. They were all allowed to post videos, to talk as much as they want, and they will add anybody to their Facebook just about. And I don't blame them. I'm happy for them. I'm happy, you know, they got to do that, but it didn't make sense. It wasn't fair, and I respected it. Because I wanted them to like me. And then after the things they said to me about the assault thing, I snapped. All the therapy I've worked on, all the mental health I've worked on, everything went away, and I had the worst panic attack I've ever had in my life. And I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried, and I thought, I regret my decision. I regret not writing out a contract. I regret not defining exactly what openness meant. And I really felt I made the worst decision in my entire life. I sacrificed a part of myself and a part of my soul so someone else can have a family. And I deal with that every day. So to be treated like that from people I do love and the people I trusted shattered me. I love him, and I've never felt like this before. I can't go back in time. I also can't trap myself and lie. When they told me all those things about me, that I'm selfish and disgusting, all that stuff, I believed it. I thought, wow, I'm a terrible birth mom, I'm a terrible person, I'm this and that, and I called adoption agencies around the world. I spoke to people around the world, and they all said something different. They said that I'm not doing anything wrong. I haven't seen Nova in a long time. Because quite frankly, it hurts too bad. In the beginning, I could only see him so long without going to my car and crying, and me and that family are completely 100% different, and that's fine. But I don't feel welcomed by them. And for a long time, I didn't talk about it because I thought they might sue me, or I thought they might, you know, I don't know, try and do something legally, but turns out I'm in my legal rights. The adoption, you know, agencies told me that by sharing my story online, sharing my assaults, sharing my pregnancy, sharing my feelings about adoption is not only amazing for adoption awareness, but if it helps me cope, then that's what matters. And if I know I'm doing something good, that's what not matters. And if they don't like that, then I don't know what to do. I want to make them happy. I want them to like me, but they're never going to be happy unless I stay a silent mute, I guess. I don't really know. I regret the adoption. I'm blessed to have them, and I'm blessed that they're able to give my son opportunities. But if I would have known all this would have happened, I never would have gone through with it. And the truth is, I don't know when I want to see Nova again. Because if he's raised to think I'm this terrible person, then that sounds terrible. I don't know. It's hard. It's confusing. All I can do is pray and go to church and keep following my gut. My husband tells me that he will grow up and he'll know the truth. One day he'll want to know me, hopefully, and if he doesn't, that's fine. I'll respect it. He'll want to know my truth and my stories, and I hope that's right. I don't know. I'm struggling really, really bad. That's really it. That's the truth. I don't really know where to end this. I guess I'm just going to keep praying and put my trust in God. Bye, guys.